I wonder if everybody's running off because there's no music playing in the background.
Okay, I need to send the link to Lex. Hold on. Copy link.
Oh, no, he's here. Well,
Oh, perfect.
I just sent him an invite there. What's up, Ace, man? So nice to have you here.
Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are at.
Oh, come
Good
on, you and I are
morning.
in the same time zone, homie. And Whale's,
Oh yeah, yeah,
couple
yeah, that is right.
2 hours behind us, so he's just getting out of bed a little bit.
And wakey, wakey, wake.
Hey, Lex, I just sent you an invite to speak.
He's a speaker.
Oh, great. Are we recording? Yes.
I think you can hear me now. Always have to check. Like I have like 10 microphones or something in the selection panel. And it's always selecting the one that doesn't work for some reason.
I have that issue with Zoom all the time. All the time.
It's it's
Uh,
it's like they know which one doesn't work, and
for real. For real.
it's like we are what, like 5 years after COVID started, and we're still every conversation start like, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? Can you see me, guys? Can you
It
see me?
it gets
Oh.
worse if
Yeah.
you're like sharing your screen. It's like, can you see my
Yeah.
screen?
I
Yeah,
hear.
I can see your wallet address and your private key. It's all good. Keep going.
Oh, it's so true. Golly, it's so true, man. Oh, that's awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our Flare Forward. We got Lex and Ace, two super awesome people. We're so excited to get a little bit more in detail about. We kind of want to first start with your origin story, guys. So, uh, you want to kick us off, Ace, since you jumped off the microphone first.
Yeah, sure. My origin story in crypto is very basic. I mean, it's nothing special by any means. I discovered crypto, I want to say in like middle school when Bitcoin first became a thing back in like, let's say 2013 or something like that.
Middle
Kind of,
school.
dude, a lot of people are surprised at my age for some reason. So for everybody out there, I'm 29. I'm not hit 30 yet, so I'm not an old guy yet. But I made my first investment in XRP a few years after that because my parents were just like, magic internet money, we're not supporting that. No way. So I had to wait till I started making my own money. 2016, I made my first investment in XRP, and I've been involved in crypto since.
Man,
Nice.
buying XRP in 2016 must feel like buying Flare right now.
And that's exactly how it feels. So, we're on the
Yeah.
better side of things post SEC, but still more to come.
Yeah, I talked to somebody buying XRP at 0.002 cents, and I was like, oh my God, what an opportunity. Like, even if you had to wait for 10 years, like, what an opportunity.
Right. You don't hear me complaining. So,
Yeah. What about you, Lex? What got you into crypto?
Well, um, actually, when you're talking about those opportunities, the one I missed was walking out of school, and I'm not going to say what year. Um, and there's a guy there, trying to shill Bitcoin for €1 a piece, and I'm like, nah, that's stupid. so yeah, that was a long time ago, and what happened is that I was working as a consultant together with a colleague who then went on parental leave, and he was like, I just hate this, this grind of a 40-hour work week and all of that stuff. So during that parental leave, he started fidgeting around with crypto and finding some interesting people to work with. And he started like, well, he started talking about it to me, and I was like, okay, I guess I can dump 500 euros into something that's not going anywhere. But of course, it did go somewhere. It was before the previous bull run. So I think, what was that? 2019? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't have a memory that goes further back than 24 hours. So uh, yeah, so that was my first run-in with just using a central exchange to buy something. And pretty soon after that, he was like, yeah, but you do this, and then you create this little wallet thing here, and then you just send it there. Okay, so I sent some Bitcoin off to some wallet, and of course, like, it took like 1 hour to arrive. So I was sweating for 1 hour to see if that by that time probably 5,000 euros worth of Bitcoin actually arrived. And yeah, okay, well, I mean, those are the little hinges and moments when you wonder what you've done with your money. But that's basically where it all started. And he started working with some people in Rome Blockchain Labs, and they started building some various platforms, and he was constantly trying to get me to join them one way or another. So I actually joined them more as a consultant, of course. So as someone who was coaching them more on how the company was run, and how to do certain things and get them organized, until they basically tricked me into joining them. And I think that's like 3 years ago now. So yeah, I've been working with those guys from Rome Blockchain Labs, and now Sceptre for the last year. And it's been an interesting journey.
That's awesome. And I got to say, thank you so much, because I know you have your uh, Flair Factor usually do on this date, and you moved it to join us. So I wanted to thank you for that one, and make sure that you knew we really appreciated that.
Of course, this is like community driven. What could be better?
Yeah.
Yep. Lots of fun.
So I remember I was driving. I used to do wedding photography, and I think it was 2011 or 2012. And I remember perfectly that moment, like driving with some filmmaker friends and talking about Bitcoin. And I remember that it got my attention, but I never like followed up. Like I never tried buying or anything. But like, so fast forward 8 years, 2020, when I heard about crypto again, I was like, okay, I'm not letting go of this opportunity for a second time. But always hindsight is
I couldn't do
2020,
it. I couldn't do it. It was too long to send the money, like an hour to figure out whether I got the money or not. Did I send it to the wrong wallet? Was it dead? I mean, dude, I was tripping out the first time I used it, and I was like, "Oh no, this I can't do this." Then I was introduced to XRP, and that was a game changer. It's like, "Oh, I can live with this. It's there. I'm safe. I feel good."
Totally
It's all
recognizable.
about the feelings.
So Ace,
Awesome.
I
Go ahead.
I want to know what makes you show up. Like, what motivates you to show up? Because I mean, I see a lot of passion in what you do, and like showing up every day. And sometimes it's easier than others. And I want to know what makes you show up to crypto every day.
That's actually it's actually a
Uh,
really good question.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I got to add in there because I believe you do this part time like us. So it's like, really squeezing in the time to get the videos and stuff out there. So, love to really dive into what is your why on that, because the average, person doesn't see that, but you and I both know that there's a lot of extra effort to go in to do what we do while still trying to make a living on the side.
Absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, I do still have a day job, so I am
Right.
juggling quite a bit on my side of things. But I mean, to answer your question, my why is just it's purely driven out of like my passion of kind of like education. So I'm sure we all have this person in our family who's like the tech guy, and your grandparents ask you the very elementary questions and things of that nature, like, "Hey, how do I send an email?" So I'm unfortunately that guy in the family. But I
Same
do get a
here.
joy out of, you know, yeah, I get a joy out of teaching, out of educating. I'm very curious about technology just naturally in general. But you know, like I alluded to earlier, I got into XRP, but I never really got involved from a community perspective. I just felt a little out of place. But Flare, for some reason, just feels right. The community does. So that definitely helps as well. Being able to put out content and, get feedback, whether it's, positive or, uh, critical or anything like that. Constructive criticism is always a good thing. Um, but yeah, it's easy because of the community. My passion for education and just technology in general is what makes me get out of bed and make a YouTube video.
Awesome. How about you, Lex?
Well, yeah, I have a little bit more corporate answer there, or at least like we tried to make it corporate because at some point before Sceptre even launched, we at Drone Blockchain we decided that our mission should be to create that financial freedom and to allow people to not be dependent on traditional finance where they often can't do things. And to give you some hints, like some of my colleagues actually aren't able to have bank accounts anymore and stuff like that because they were in crypto and they received some money from central exchange and this kind of stuff. But of course, there are a lot of people in the world that don't even have regular access to a lot of the services that exist in blockchain. So that was initially like the idea. Like I just want as many people to be financially independent as possible, and if I can help in any way make that happen, that would be great. But now, of course, that I've spent basically a year on Sceptre and in the Flare community, it is helping people understand how DeFi works. What I've learned, in the time before Sceptre, sometimes very painfully, like nice examples are sending a transaction, thinking it has failed, sending it again, thinking it has failed, sending it again, thinking it has failed, and then suddenly you get 3 successful transactions, which wouldn't be so bad on Flare, but it's not great when it's really busy on Ethereum and you just wasted like 600 euros in gas money.
Oh,
So those are things to learn, and of course I can see when it's really busy on Flare, the price also goes up, but it is all a little bit different when when the price goes up to 10 cents. You're like, that was an expensive transaction, and not like 600. So I think it's really nice to interact with the community, just like many of you are doing. And to try to find out where we haven't communicated well enough. I think that's always the trick, right? I might think that, well, I have explained how these rewards work in 5 different ways, and then someone comes and asks a question, and I realize there's a 6th way to explain it, and that one is necessary for some people to understand. So that's
I gotta
basically
say,
what I'm
I
doing.
thank you very much. I gotta thank you very much for that because I did not pick up on how the rewards work the first 10 times I heard it. So it's like the 11th or 12th time I finally figured out how the S Flare process worked. So I appreciate your thoroughness and efficiency because I definitely did not get it for a hot minute.
Yeah, well, you're not alone, and I think there are still people who don't know exactly how it works, and that's fine. I'm happy to answer that question like more times, and we have like tons of videos that explain it in various ways. So yeah, I think that's that's the thing at the moment that I'm hoping to do every day. And then, of course, I hope that Sceptre grows and that there are more opportunities for people to use S-Flare in other protocols.
Awesome. So we like to ask, where do you see blockchain going 5 years? How do you see it impacting your life 5 years from now? And I'd love to get your feedback on that, Lex. I think that would be an interesting since you're so intertwined with it.
Yeah. So as I see it, like blockchain is still sort of in its teenage years, but it's slowly getting acceptance and also slowly moving to places in the industry where it might actually be more than a gimmick. Meaning that you could, like, why doesn't the regular banking system work on blockchain? Well, I mean, there's a good reason why, because there are probably things they don't want us to see. But from a regulatory point of view, it would be way better if it would, so that all the data would actually be available. And if there's something wrong with corruption or a bank, it would actually be visible instead of hidden. So I think we will see blockchain crawling towards the average user of the internet, with services that actually people need on a daily basis. And I think XRP is one of the things, of course, that has been promoted as such, as a regular payment system. And Flare fills many gaps there as well, with the FTSOs, but also other services. So that's the direction I see it going, and I hope in 5 years we might have a so-called regular bank that actually is completely running on blockchain technology and is accessible without needing special wallets or things like that.
Awesome. What about you, Ace?
Yeah, I mean, I see things similar to what Lex just described. But I definitely see in the next 5 years the chain being completely abstracted from the overall user experience. Just thinking back towards a lot of the people that I interact with on the day-to-day basis, they ask me a lot of like questions related to crypto, and some of like their main hurdles or obstacles of getting into digital assets is the perceived complexity of it all. So, like, managing wallets, knowing what exchanges to buy crypto from, how to send assets from one wallet to another. It scares a lot of people. And, I definitely see us making strides in making the UI a bit easier to understand. And kind of like what Hugo likes to say, giving those Web 2 experiences with Web 3 guarantees. So in 5 years, I definitely see us doing that. And maybe I won't get questions from like my grandfather on where and how to send Bitcoin or anything like that. It'll be super simple by then, hopefully. So that's what I see.
I wish you the best of luck with that one. I don't know if it'll get that far.
No, it might, be another decade before I no longer get those questions from family members. So
So, Lex, I have a question for you. Have you ever started the market before? Like, have you ever started with a blockchain before?
Like, what do you mean exactly?
Yeah, like you were mentioning that you were participating in Ethereum, but Ethereum was kind of developed, like the market was developed already.
Yeah, that
And with
existed
Flare,
already.
it's very early days. Have you ever participated in like the development of a blockchain before?
Of a blockchain. Well, to a certain degree, I guess we're helping our future expansion to Particia, the Particia blockchain, to develop certain things within their blockchain. I think the education goes both ways there, where they learn a lot from our experience in things like staking and liquid staking. And we learn things about how they work with like what should I say, like private computing. So it's yeah. I mean, I didn't start a blockchain. I don't necessarily have plans, but I wouldn't stop if the opportunity would come by. But I wouldn't just start a blockchain because of a blockchain. It would have to have a really good reason for existing.
Great. And so a little bit about Sceptre, because I think one of the issues that I see with projects launching on blockchain is that they don't have a business model. And what I understand is that your business model is 10% of the staking rewards, right? Like that's your business model. Do you have any other sources of revenue, or how does Scepter stay afloat on a early market?
Yeah, so basically just 10% of all the rewards. So that is staking rewards, and at the moment also the flare drop. And if we would be having part of our like stake not just on validators on the P chain but also on the C chain, then of course that would also include delegation rewards. But it is just 10% of those rewards, and that's what we use to, pay the salaries of the people who not just keep it running, but also do the development and design and marketing and so on. So yeah, that's the revenue stream.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a very straightforward business model, which I like. So Stephen and me made a video. I don't know if you watched it, and we went on Burst FTSO website. We've been checking it out, and then we went to their list of validators that you're staked to, and then we were like comparing the performance and seeing how much S-flare or how much flare you have on each validator. It was a very interesting experience to check that out. I don't know if you watched that video.
I think I have the feeling I should.
Yeah, it was. It was a fun conversation. Like a lot of times, Stephen and me, we just said, "Okay, let's try this," and then we just get online and figure it out like as we go. It's not like we know exactly what we're doing, but we figure it out, and we're not afraid to test things and to make mistakes.
Send me the video so I can find it. I would love to check it out. But
yes, of course.
Yeah, this is like.
I have a question there for sure. So we found that you were delegating to the test node for Flare. Is that just on accident, or is that just intentional?
We are only staking to nodes. I think they delegate.
Staking.
We're only using the P chain, not the C chain.
Right. I apologize. Wrong terminology. We
No
saw that you were
worries.
staking to the test node. Any particular reason?
No, I guess it was considered a viable node, but I would love to check that out. I've never heard of that. But as long as there are rewards attached to it, and that might well be the case, it doesn't matter to us.
There are no rewards attached to it.
Okay,
it was not eligible for rewards.
Oh, then I'm going to check it out at least. That's an interesting thing. But yeah,
awesome. Yeah, no, we just stumbled upon it just by pure happenstance. It was quite hilarious.
What's
to be
called?
Honest. I don't remember the name now for the life of me. It was more than 24 hours ago. So I mean, that applies to you. It's definitely got to apply to me, man.
I mean, I'm looking at the list and I'm not really seeing it, but it could be that it has.
It's got a weird name. And because we couldn't find it on one of the other, we couldn't find it on Burst, but we found it on Flare Scan. So it was only like I don't know. It stood out as an odd one.
All right, let's check it out. Yeah, always interested. I see some like with interesting names. Was it just Flare Node 1 or?
That would be it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Flare Node 1.
All right, I'm gonna keep an eye on that one.
Okay, so I have more questions for you, Lex, but let's jump for Ace real quick. So Ace, what's your learning process? I mean, let's have a conversation about that, because we were sharing. I was sharing a minute ago how sometimes we just hop on a video call, Stephen and me, and then we figure things out. And for me, it has been just like trial and error, and then sometimes I make big mistakes. Like today, I tried Raindex, and I set up the strat incorrectly, and I bought one size flare for $20. That was like the worst trade of my life. I paid like 100x.
Oh, you're very generous, man.
But that's how I learned. So what's your learning process, Ace?
Well, first of all, I need to find your level of generosity because that's a pretty high price.
Yeah, I don't even know
But
how can I set up like I don't even know how you can get like such a bad rate. But anyways, water under the bridge.
yeah, we'll have to dive into that because that's pretty interesting. But I mean, my learning process is very similar to yours. It's trial and error. Especially in crypto, DeFi stuff. Like you can be conservative, especially when you're trying to learn, but you can't be afraid to, try something. So working with small amounts, things of that nature. Um, I also talk to people smarter than me. So that is very key in understanding something as complex as like, the Flare network and how all their systems work and kind of synergize together. So, I mean, I really do trial and error. I talk, I listen, read, a combination of all those things.
Yeah, this is something that I really like about this space, that it's easy to find people that are way smarter than me and have conversations. Like I don't get that very much in my day-to-day life, and here like I'm always learning, and whenever I feel like I know enough, I hop into a thread or a conversation and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kindergarten level.
Right, right. I mean, you can't be afraid to be wrong either. Like, I mean, um, I'm wrong all the time. So, it's okay to be wrong, as long as you kind of like learn from that and apply it for the next situation. But, I see not necessarily in this community, but just, social media and real world in general. It's too many people afraid to be wrong, man. It's okay. It's all good.
Totally.
Oh yes, 100% agree with you. It's always weird. Social media seems fake, whereas I don't know, out here it's all about being real and being open and showing, hey, this is what we found out. You got a better way, because I'm always open to a better opinion.
Right. And it drives conversation. I mean, we're all learning. That's typically what you would think social media would be a good thing for, is kind of like that group learning type thing, and encouraging others to kind of, chime in with what they may know, and help others. But yeah, I don't really do anything special, honestly. I just read a lot. So I guess that would be my key.
Yeah. I think Sarah has a question for you, Ace.
Awesome, go for it.
Oh, thanks for putting me on the spot. No, just because
You're
at the
welcome.
beginning,
Anytime.
I found the guys from Fair Forward asked a good question of what is it that motivates you? And I'm like, I didn't know that you were only part time on this. This really seemed like something you spend most of your days on, just from the quality of content that you're able to put out there. So I just want to say, like, props for that. So my actual question is,
Oh,
how do you
thank you.
think Flair could help, like, support you in that? Like, especially since a lot of people in the space are doing this on the side, are there any resources or anything that could help? Because I'm only limited to what I think from my side of things, but since everyone makes such different content, I'd be interesting in, like, opening up the discussion to what anyone here has to contribute.
Wow. That's a really good question. Um, I really don't know how they could support me. I mean, I guess I wasn't really when I started making content for or around Flare and what they had going on in the ecosystem and everything like that. It was all driven out of passion. I kind of got encouraged by, some close friends to really start making YouTube content, stuff like that. Because I used to stream in the past on Twitch, stuff like that, video games when I had more free time. But those days are long gone.
I was
So,
gonna say.
um, yeah, those days are long gone. So, I do spend a lot of time creating the content that I do make for crypto and the Flare ecosystem. It's mostly nights. So, like right after work, I kind of, chill out for a little bit, decompress, and then I get to it, in my little office space at home. Um, you know, but for me, the biggest support could just be, interacting with my content, I guess. I'm not really one to look for monetary support or anything like that. If it happens, it happens. That's cool. That's always a good thing. But, if it doesn't, that's also cool because that's not really why I'm here to make content.
Awesome. Lex, I want to spin the question back to you on a different scenario there.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to curious again. This is going back in the tech side though. How do you think TEEs will you guys be looking to use any of those in a particular manner in developments?
TEEs. Well, here I'm going to ask a question. Can you tell me what a TEE is?
For all of us who are new, trusted execution environment.
I think I saw that somewhere in a document. I have to say, honestly, I haven't given it any thought yet. But I have to dig into it. But I believe that that could be something that, or it sounds like something we could use maybe for signing at some point, certain transactions. But I have to check it out. I have to dig into the technical documentation to understand it better, and that might not yet actually exist. This was something that was going to come up, right? Like in the
Yes, Flare
future.
2.0s,
Yeah,
2.0s v2.
exactly. So that's a little difficult to say right now. But if it is what I think it is, then maybe it could have an effect on how transactions are signed or something like that.
Okay, like, so I have a question for
Awesome.
you. How do you manage your like wallet security? Like, you.
Well, I'm not going to give you all the details,
No,
obviously,
no,
but
of
suffice to
course,
say,
but just like the
yeah.
general, like, what's your security protocol?
Yeah, so of course, no one person has access to everything. I don't have access to anything, and that's quite important for me because I'm a public face. So I don't even want to have access to these kind of things. But it requires various or a good amount of people to do certain transactions that are more security sensitive, and everything else happens automatically, of course, within the IT infrastructure. I don't want to give too many details when it comes to security because of well, the obvious risks.
Yeah, no, of course.
No,
I mean, I think it's important to have like a general without, of course, telling me the name of the person that signs and like without going to a
Yeah,
specifics
well, there
because
is no one person. There
yeah,
is no one person.
and I think that coming back to what Steven asked, at some point maybe TEEs could help you manage uh, like your wallets. So my next question to you is: do you think that too much stake flare, like a S flare, could be a problem for the whole ecosystem? Like if let's say that everybody went to Scepter, do you think that could be an issue?
Well, we are not even close to that yet. I think like if we would go past 10-15% of all the flare, we might want to look at some kind of solution that would reduce the risk of it all going through one smart contract. I don't know yet what that would be, but we've built a liquid staking system on Avalanche, and that system, I think, holds maybe like around 10% or something like that, and it's not considered a problem there. So, but yeah, of course, I do understand that people who are really into the decentralized might feel that if something goes through one smart contract, that is a problem. But I think you still need. We can't really control any nodes, right? So even if our system stakes to a lot of different nodes, we don't get control over any of those nodes. So we don't actually have any way to affect the security of the network at this point.
Yeah, it would potentially be like the issue of having like in a way a centralized point of failure. No, that would be a potential
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, definitely. Of course, that can happen. That depends on where the threshold of the network is, I guess. So the amount of staked flare, if more than the necessary amount to make changes, like to push through transactions and sign them as okay, goes through your liquid staking platform, that might become a serious security risk.
I see in other blockchains that they have different liquid staking providers, so I think that could be a
Mhm.
potential solution for this. No.
If like when Flare grows and when the price of the token goes up, I think there is no way for us to to stay alone in that area. So
Burger
um,
King's coming. Burger King is coming.
Burger King, all right, yeah, yeah, something like that. So well, I hope their burgers are better than the original then. Um,
Ace, you have a question
but
for
yeah,
Lex?
so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I do have one. Really, it's around like what products you would like to see come to the Flare network. So, and this question is stemming from just some like private research I've been doing. Uh, I've been looking at this guy. His name is like DeFi Dojo. Shout out to DeFi Divi for giving that plug a few weeks ago. Um, and I've been looking at his videos and the types of products he interacts with his strategies and stuff like that. It's pretty vast, I'll say that. A lot of other chains have a variety of products for the DeFi side of things. So I'm just curious to know what DeFi related products, or not even DeFi related, maybe, would you like to see come to the Flare network?
Oof. Um, that's a difficult one. I mean, um, it really depends on whether or not Flare wants to become a general blockchain network or wants to be like aimed specifically at, being an oracle, being something else. Um, because then, of course, you would search for solutions in that direction. But of course, there are certain things that are basically not available yet, maybe like games and such that we haven't seen. But the real like functionality that I would like to see come is like applications for real world like application. So if I want to buy a car, can I do that? Apparently, someone was accepting S Flare for buying used cars, but but that's a real world application. So um, make it less dependent on what this fairly small community is used to, and make it more useful in general life for your grandma. Your grandma doesn't need to know that she's using XRP on Flare to pay for something or to do something or get that as her bonus points for a flight or whatever. But it could be used for that, and that would just really drive the network value up, I think. So those kind of like simple things, I think, would be great to see. Not necessarily a specific application, but an application in real life.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Hey, Ace, could you tell me?
Yeah.
I mean, you've used Flare quite a bit now. What is your favorite tool on Flare?
Um, it depends on how I'm feeling. I'll say that. Um, I really like Raindex for the automated side of things. Those guys are always working to improve their products, so shout out to that team. Um, the OG in me loves Enosys. I think that was actually my first DeFi platform that I ever used. Like way, way back in the day, they had a Flare Finance beta on like Costin or something like that. So that was my first exposure of like putting tokens in an LP, claiming rewards, all types of stuff. And it was a very good experience. So the Enosys platform and team will always have a special place in my heart for that reason. So shout out to them. Um, let's see, what else? I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, even some of the new stuff like OpenOcean, the DEX aggregator, that makes things so simple. And I know that I'm getting like a cheaper rate for those quick swaps that may not necessarily be part of a strategy or anything I'm trying to employ on Raindex. So I would say a combination of those that I just named.
Yeah, we just did a quick video on Open Ocean versus Rubik's, and it was pretty impressive actually. And the price gap was actually different. There was 100 token price difference between different routes, and you got to see it and compare it, and you could make the best decision possible. So yeah, I mean, 100%. There's one. It ended up being SparkDex being the best one as of right now, but I think as the ecosystem grows, those tools are going to be highly used.
Oh yeah, especially for those newcomers. I don't expect people to hop from, Dex to Dex looking for the best swap rates. So OpenOcean is definitely doing a good service to the community and the network for offering its services in that department. But I also like that, we're starting to see products for um, all sorts of people on the spectrum of advanced to very beginner level. So I would expect someone on the beginner side of things to really like OpenOcean, but for those that are maybe more advanced and have some more complicated strategies that they want to employ when it comes to DeFi, you have Raindex for that. So it's a little bit of something for everybody on Flare, and it's nice to see us kind of like grow out and expand on those things.
Okay, for the next question, first, I want to invite the community if they have any questions, requests to speak. And then for Lex, what is the thing that you appreciate the most about Flare?
Well, it's actually quite simple. The communication in the ecosystem has been so many times better than I've had in other ecosystems, meaning that not just the communication with Flare, but also all the partners in Flare, all the dexes, lending market, and anything new dropping in. I am privileged to be in that kind of like group that I get like the pop-up of a new protocol coming in, basically. I mean, like saying hi and being able to check and chat with each other to see how we can help each other. And I think that's the whole thing. That sentence says it all, right? We check to see how we can help each other. And that's way different than I've seen in other platforms. So that also really brings with it a lot of hope for the Flare network, because that's a great basis to build on.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that the Flare community in general is pretty accessible. Like you can talk to people and ask questions, and they'll be happy to respond and help you. And other communities feel like either very snobby or completely out of reach. So yeah, I appreciate the same thing about Flare.
I gotta say its culture is very unique. I think we kind of chatted about it a little bit before, and then going through what we've done through, which is kind of chatting with different levels, from FTSO to developers, to even Hugo. I mean, everybody has, the culture is pretty much identical, where they're out to help everybody, but also to protect the network, and so they're very very diligent in their work. And take it very seriously. So it's real impressive to see such a fun culture, but also in times of a serious culture when they're trying to protect the network from bad actors and different things that come up. But Lex, so man,
Absolutely.
tell me, I know you can't do any of the voting or anything, you guys, with all those S Flare, but how does Lex use Flare? Lex the person,
Well,
not the scepter.
yeah. Well, how have I used it until now? So of course, most of it is staked. because I mean, if you don't use your own stuff, then how can you expect anyone else to use it? So I've got most of my Flare staked, and currently it's just sitting in Kinetic mostly, and then some in liquidity pools, and I've got some size Flare and things like that. So yeah, just spread around a little bit. And I'm sure there are. I've also tried like rain deck strategies and stuff like that. So when I have time to think about it and what I want to try out, then I go and try something new. But until that time, it's just like sitting there basically in various protocols.
Were you surprised by the poll that you guys put together the other day?
I'm almost never surprised by the polls. Like when you ask a question, you have a good idea of what the answer is, but that most people have it in Kinetic. I think that's like a really it's a good starting point, right? So like you're going to get something. It's basically as well, it's not risk free, but the risk is as small as it can be, meaning that there's of course a smart contract, but other than that, everything should be fine. It's not like you're suddenly going to end up like in a liquidity pool. Like let's say that you have it in as Flare, red Flare liquidity pool, and you went in there one-sided with your S Flare, and then when you look 2 days later, you notice that you have 80% red Flare, which would theoretically be losing something. So that risk is not really there. So I think that's like a good starting point, and then of course you can decide to borrow something against it and go and do something else in the network. So I'm not really surprised. Also, of course, I've seen the size of their pool, so I understand that a lot of S-Flare is hanging out there.
Amazing. Okay, so I don't know if you can answer this, but I have to ask. I know that Hugo has said that the actual staking for XRP is going to be done by a partner, and that they will reveal the who it is and the time.
Yeah, it's not us.
Okay, so you guys are not going to do the XRP on Flare, like
well,
the
of course,
actual
we can
token
still do
issue?
we can still do that as a competitor, obviously. But there has to, first they have to build a whole staking system, and it's different than a liquid staking system, right? So
yeah, that was my question.
Would,
if you're going to be the liquid staking part of that equation, that's my question for you.
well, I'm not sure yet what that other partner is doing because I haven't been informed about the details there. But we might play a role one way or another when that comes out. It
Awesome.
depends on what's possible.
And then would you, like as a general overview, why did you choose Partisia? I am probably butchering the name.
Yeah. Well, we happened to run into them. That's how it goes, right? On one of those gatherings, and had a discussion with them, and they were interested in Sceptre coming to their network, and it grew from there. So it wasn't a choice as in it's going to be that network. It was more like a conversation that led to a possibility of us rolling out on their network.
And do you know if there's going to be any integration with Flare, like Partisia and Flare?
Well, the apps will be integrated. So we wanted to make Sceptre in such a way that you could just easily switch to another, instance of the app on a different network, or maybe at some point even somehow integrate it so far that you just select the token you have and then it stakes it to the correct network, something like that.
Cool.
DeFi, you got a question? DeFi Planet? And did
Just
they drop?
left.
All
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
All right, I'll circle back. So, I got a question for both you guys. Whichever one wants to go first. The Flare 2.0 was just put out, but I'm curious what your guys' feedback was like on the Google Hackathon, and the products that were created there. To me, it was super impressive. Even Hugo put out in the interview that Google actually took quite a bit of interest in that, more than probably most people realized. So, what is your guys' feedback or thoughts on the Google Hackathon that was just wrapped up?
Yeah, I can go first. Give Alexa a break.
Get some
Um,
water,
Thank
Lex.
you.
no, I think it's great, and it's always nice to see blockchain projects or just networks in general really work with up and coming developers, people who may be interested in leveraging blockchain. Because when I was in college, that was not a thing. I hate that it wasn't a thing, but when I was going through my degree program, blockchain was still something that was kind of like scoffed at a little bit and seemed like a gimmick to everyone, just like AI at the time. So to kind of fast forward and seeing that, universities are starting to take blockchain technology serious, and really start to kind of just try and discover the nexus between blockchain and artificial intelligence. I think that's always a good thing. I would moving forward though, I would love to hear more from the teams that participate and potentially win prizes. Just to
Oh,
kind
that would
of
be cool.
yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool to
Fair.
kind of
Check
like
that down. Check that down. That would be an
yeah,
awesome thing.
yeah, it'd be nice to understand kind of like their thought process, their whole I guess reason for building whatever they built for the hackathon, and things of that nature, kind of like previous experience, stuff like that. Because I've done recruiting before for a company I used to work with, and that to me is the most interesting part about it is like understanding potential candidates, their why, and like how they kind of think through certain things. Because, and I'm pretty sure anyone who's developed software, it's always interesting how you can develop a piece of software that works one way. And when you're in the weeds, you kind of like expect people to use your product the same way you would. But when you actually get it out in the wild and they start doing things
Tear it
that you,
apart, footprint
right,
it.
right. Like it's like, building a square hole and, people putting circles in them. It would drive me insane. So I would like to know their thought process on building certain things, why they built it, just stuff like that, out of curiosity.
Definitely. Yeah, I think like hackathons, especially in an area like blockchain, are really good to like mix up things a little bit. Uh, when you've been in a specific industry for a long time, you might have run out of new ideas, so you're like the industry runs a bit stale, and the only thing we can do is reproduce another uni something dex or compound lending market. Those are important, but they're not really innovative, and they don't really move things ahead by themselves. But when you just have a group of people who don't have that baggage, who have just been looking at stuff and trying to use it through your well thought through UX process that never leads them to the expected goal, that they might come up with something that really changes the industry. So I think they're absolutely uh, crucial to have these hackathons, and I would love to hear from those groups of people, like why they did something and what they're hoping for.
I see flares on here. Jot that down.
Yeah,
Um, awesome. I gotta say, you're 100% right. You're getting fresh ideas, and I'm curious. Again, I don't have this answer, but one of the winning prizes was a group that created a model that took the AI. It would scan your portfolio that you had in Robinhood and give you a portfolio of blockchain stuff that would fit to your similar risk model that you'd set up in your stock portfolio. I'm wondering if that gave Hugo the idea of, possibly how a use case would be to help grade the risk factor, to be able to give a loan on a separate blockchain from the value on that other blockchain. Like, what is the risk factor of it going down? Like, and being able to help you mitigate the risk or give you the ability to, charge more interest for such a high risk loan that somebody's asking for on a separate blockchain. So I'm curious if that really came from that initial one. Doesn't mean it did, but a kind of similar model, but different use case.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing where that came from as well. And I don't know if people caught this or not, but Hugo mentioned the potential for like risk models to be ran in these T's, to kind of help with potential use cases alongside of, like loans and stuff like that. I don't think people really understand how cool that would be to run a risk model inside of a T and then have that output gauge whether or not you um, you know, hop into a specific product or financial opportunity on a blockchain. That's pretty cool, but I'm pretty sure that's also rudimentary compared to the other use cases that could spawn from something like that.
I don't know if that's rudimentary, but definitely, like you said, I'm with you 100% interested in that. And that was kind of the one I was kind of talking about. And I was wondering if it came from that other version that the other guys had completed in the hackathon.
Could
But
be cross pollination, of course. That I think that happens quite a lot when we think we had an original idea, but actually it's not, because somewhere where we don't remember anymore when we heard something, we totally forgot we heard it, but then comes together with some other trigger, and then we have the same idea. So I guess that's also how a lot of science works, and why we seem to be coming up with the same things, even though two companies, for instance, didn't share any knowledge. Um, so
awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions before we close the space out? All right. Well, awesome. Go ahead, Ace.
No, I was gonna say I kind of wish DeFi Planet came back up here. It seems like they had a good question coming, maybe. I don't know.
Yep. Not sure. Sarah, you got anything you want to add?
I'm all good. Thanks. This was a great discussion, guys.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody. Well, do you got to leave with
Yeah, no,
anything?
I think there was a great conversation. I mean, I was asking questions.
Oh,
I wrote,
I got 2 requests now, so let's see what we got here. We'll give them
yeah,
a
of course.
chance. Uh,
Hey, I had a quick question.
Go ahead, man.
yeah, go ahead, man.
So I was doing some research on Codius back just the other day, and Flare reminds me of Codius. Have any of y'all looked at that?
I have not.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a little bit of Evernote, which Win said that it would be Codius 10.0, but no, I do not have enough information to compare those two guys.
Yeah, it's just interesting. So a little dive yesterday. Codius, I guess Stephen Thomas and Vitalik Buterin were hanging out, and they were doing Codius, and then Codius is like the best of everything, and it connects everything with smart contracts. And they were saying it's big time for the XRPL to have Codius, and then all of a sudden Flare come, like they stopped talking about it, and it's been like hush hush, and then all of a sudden Flare comes out, and it's got smart contracts. It's big on the XRPL and trusted execute environments or whatnot. So if anybody wants to dive into that, and I would be interested to see what other people find out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that if Flare executes correctly, Flare is going to be massive for XRP, and I mean, they're going to work together in a beautiful way, and I think it's going to be big for not just XRP but many other chains as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I'll check that out.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. JB, you want to speak?
Josh Well.
Yes, yes. How are you, everyone? Thanks for letting me speak. I have a
Yes,
question.
welcome.
I'm new to the Flare ecosystem, and I would like to know what are the best starter apps to get started, to get familiar with the ecosystem.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of videos. Actually, we set up a tip jar wallet, and then we're going from scratch. If you send me a DM, I'm happy to forward you that, and then that will give you a good introduction to the whole ecosystem. I mean, next week, Lex, like in a week and a half, we're gonna have the open staking, so that would be a good place to start. My recommendation would be maybe set up a different wallet. I don't know where you're holding your crypto, but maybe set up another wallet and then put a few funds and then just try things out. Like just choose a number that you feel comfortable playing with and then just try the apps, get familiar with them. You're going to make mistakes. Like I've been doing this for like full time for a while and I still make mistakes and just kind of losing the fear of trying things out. Ace was talking about this before. And there's a lot of content. Ace has great content. We have great content. CJ has great content. There's different places to learn and start dipping your toes into it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
If
would definitely say the first stop is Sceptre. I am probably 90% S Flare. Again, I do some delegating and some of the other stuff, but delegating allows you one thing: you send your flare somewhere and it sits. For me, I want my flare to work for me, so I'm a big on the S Flare principle, and then I can use that, leverage that, or do tons of other things with it. So I'm with Whale. The free staking opens up, and that is where I'd suggest you start, and then you can play with that from there.
Oh,
I think
if you
okay,
wanna
because I'm familiar with DeFi on Polygon, Ethereum, and all those places for a lot of years. So that sounds great.
I just sent you
yeah,
a
I think
DM.
there's
Go ahead.
a I was just gonna say, I think there's a comprehensive list of all the dApps or and builders on Flare. I think it's at flarepedia.com, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Let me
I just
find the
learned
link.
something
I
new
actually sent
there.
it to you. But yeah, if you want to look at all the comprehensive applications and things of that nature going on the Flare network, I would definitely look there. But let me find the link real quick.
and of course, Flare would probably send you to the what is it, fair.flare.network, where they have like some protocols listed as well.
I just sent you a DM, JB, with my YouTube, the Flare Fair that Lex is speaking about, and I will send you
Yeah.
Ace YouTube as well.
Thank you so much. I'll check it out.
Yeah, and then just send us messages if you have any questions. But seems like you know how to navigate around blockchain, so it's just kind of like understanding where to start and try different apps. And we'd love to hear your thoughts after you try them compared to other blockchains that you have tried before.
Absolutely. I'll come back and share my experience.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, go ahead, Sarah. Fire away.
Oh no, I was like waving goodbye.
Oh, awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on next Flare Forward.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
joining.
you for inviting
See
me.
ya. Thanks for
Cheers.
the invite.
Thanks for everything. Y'all have a great day.
You too.